Sandeep, what are the three most critical things that a local bank in developing markets needs to consider to build a successful wealth management offering?
One of the things that a newly set up wealth management platform needs to, or a client setting up a new wealth management business has looked at, is that clearly there's market segmentation that is happening rapidly. There's the traditional market with the ultra high net worth individuals and their preferences of brick and mortar versus some of the newer clients coming in with preferences of online. So really need to pick and choose a platform that straddles both those effectively, because you don't know which way your business will succeed in the short term and then again the medium and long term. Short-term success might come from brick and mortar, longer-term success might come from other things, and you don't want to replace or completely do a heart transplant when you're midway through your business ramp-up. So I think that's a critical part of it. Looking at right technologies and a fit of the nuances of the provider vis-a-vis the business nuances and business ethics that you want to follow is also a key part. You need a fit as a partner rather than a vendor-buyer relationship, because this is going to evolve. The wealth management doesn't stay static. It changes over a period of time. You need a partner who's nimble and is able to evolve with you. And I think the other part is also being able to look at it from a right-sizing standpoint. Getting the fit with the partner, again, is a key element of that platform. And I think the last part, which most wealth managers or people looking to set up that wealth management platform, which we talked about in various forums, is the right products for their clients and being able to enable that within technology. You don't want to have technology that works only for 2 or 3 products and then everything else is being done outside of that. So I think it's a combination of those 3 factors that allow you to choose a successful or build a successful wealth management platform.
And what are some of the typical best practices when it comes to implementation?
One of the key things that we found succeeds is a reasonable level of involvement or a significant level of involvement, depending on the stage of project, of the management levels. It's not easy when you just say, okay, I picked the product, now go implement it, but I'm not going to be involved in its implementation, because that really then sends the wrong message across to the team that they can do whatever they like and they can then have no available direction that this is my business philosophy, I want it embedded in the system and move forward from there. And I think the other thing that a lot of people try to do is that, okay, when I get my business, I'll go get my new system. And typically what happens is when you've got a lot of business, your people are busy, they have very little time to do anything with the new system, they pay scant attention to it. The lack of attention causes its own set of challenges, and therefore you come into a different thing, that you don't use the system well, you're not getting a return on investment, you're still behind on future targets, because although you met your short-term business targets, the longer-term business targets depend on scale and size and ability to service customers, which is not happening because I've got, quote-unquote, a bum system, right? And that's a challenge overall to be looked at from a management standpoint, and both of those are critical. So timing the investment in the system right, better upfront rather than later, and making an adequate investment of management time in the system process and working closely with the vendor to make that happen is critical in any successful implementation.
So what are some of the lessons that you think should be learned from more developed markets?
The more developed markets are having to go look at systems in layers. So they've got their core legacy thing and then they're building layers on top of that. Whereas the more developed market are able to look at a start to finish on a new platform and kind of leapfrog some of the issues that they might have on the older platform. So there's a lot more spend in the developed markets on the connections between the various layers, versus in the newer markets, it's all about front to back and then being able to service clients easily and quickly. The other thing is that cost dynamics are very different. So because the developed markets have scale and size, the software pricing is different, and their costs of the software are different because of the work that needs to get done in these interfaces and connections and the whole support of that. So I think that's something that we've seen across the board. But everybody is spending or trying to make the most out of getting innovation done rapidly, while keeping my teams productive. I think those are the two key areas where we've seen a lot of the learnings happen, is that if you go talk to them about, hey, I'll take out your heart and I'll replace it. He says, okay, that's big risk. We're not going to talk about that. But if you want to say, how do I reach a certain segment of customers that you're not reaching, and I can push that data back into my legacy system, that's something that they're talking about. If you talk about mining data that is in systems, both external and internal, and bringing that available to clients, those are things that they're talking about. Whereas in the startup mode, they're looking at front to back.
Sandeep, what are some of the general trends you see within developing markets that influence the type of technology and systems that are implemented?
When you're looking at the traditional versus new, one of the key things that a lot of them veer towards is your own fiefdom. Whereas what we're seeing is that in wealth management in Asia or developing markets, there's a lot of different client behavioral aspects. So an open architecture, even from a system standpoint, is very critical, whereby you're able to offer products manufactured by other institutions, where you're able to offer a wide variety of choices to the client, where you're able to offer connectivity across the board between various systems and the client. So that's becoming more and more critical as we see things going forward. So we're looking at constantly improving our architecture and allowing it to be more kind of Lego building block based, whereby clients can piece together the puzzle the way they like it and move forward, rather than having a silo presented to them and then they dumping everything into that silo and hopefully getting something out of it to that extent. So I think that's really the key thing that we see going forward, is a lot of interconnectivity, a lot of interoperability, a lot of ability to deal with external and internal data, and then progressing on that for our clients.